The college football playoff rankings are headed for chaos. What do I mean? Let me break down how. After all the shakeups this past Thanksgiving week and rivalry weekend, let's take a look at the potential chaos before the College Football Playoff Committee meets tomorrow and announces the new and updated college football playoff rankings, where we will then have a lot closer look and more clear picture on who will be the 12 teams in the playoff field come December 20th when the first game is slated to kick off. All we know for sure right now that there's already 6 of 12 spots locked up. And it looks like we're headed for chaos this upcoming weekend on Championship Saturday. Let's just say if Georgia and Clemson wins, or even if just Clemson wins, we have chaos. Let's break down how. Right now, I have 6 teams that I feel are already locked into the 12-team college football playoff field, and that's, of course, the number 1 Oregon Ducks, who will play Saturday in Indy in the Big Ten Championship game, versus the next team that I feel like is locked in, and that's the number 4 Penn State Nittany Lions, in which the loser of that game is still slated to make the 12-team playoff, being that the committee has already stated that there is no penalizing a team for losing its conference championship game unless it's a lopsided blowout, in which I still don't see a scenario that would eliminate either Oregon nor Penn State from the 12-team playoff field. So that locks up 2 of the 12 spots already. Next, the number 3 Texas Longhorns, who plays also on Saturday in the ACC Championship game in their first season in the SEC Conference against another team that could possibly be cemented into the field of 12 if you were to listen to some sports reporters, and that is the number 7 Georgia Bulldogs. I don't see any scenario that would exclude Texas from the 12-team playoff, even with a loss to Georgia on Saturday. I think they're in regardless. But that opens up the discussion of if Georgia wins. That takes up another spot that wasn't accounted for because most people assume that Texas will win on Saturday, which would give Georgia their 3rd loss on the season, which most people feel would eliminate them from playoff contention because it's hard to envision a 3-loss team making the playoff field, i.e. South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Miami. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, Georgia loses to Texas on Saturday. That is 3 spots locked up with Oregon, Penn State, and Texas. Let's go ahead and throw number 5 Notre Dame in the field of locked teams because they don't play any more games. Their season is over, and they're sitting there with the overall record of 11-1, and their only loss coming at home back on September 7th to Northern Illinois, 16-14 on a last-second field goal. I think it's safe to say Notre Dame is in the field of 12, so now that's 4 spots locked up and only 8 remaining, with only 3 championships games left to be played, being the winner of the Big 12 Conference Championship game between the hot Arizona State Sun Devils versus Iowa State Cyclones, which will lock up an automatic spot, and also the winner of the Mountain West Conference Championship game between the Running Rebels of UNLV versus the Heisman Trophy hopeful Ashton Jeanty-led Boise State Broncos, where they are playing a win and get in game, lose and you're out championship game. So now we have Oregon, Penn State, Texas, Notre Dame, Arizona State or Iowa State, UNLV or Boise State. That's 6 spots locked up with still 1 championship game left to be played. The ACC Championship game, which I feel is the most pivotal of all the championship games, only because the chaos that would ensue if the 3-loss Clemson Tigers were to win the ACC Championship, which would ultimately guarantee a 3-loss team into the field of 12, which would definitely knock a team out that was hoping to get in. But the question then comes up, does then 2-loss SMU still make the field of 12? SMU season has been too good to not see them make the playoffs, and we also have to remember that the College Playoff Committee themselves said that they would not penalize a team losing the conference championship game. So then that would make 8 spots locked up with only 4 spots left, with 8 worthy teams left waiting. Those teams being the Georgia Bulldogs, the Tennessee Volunteers, the Ohio State Buckeyes, which I honestly feel all three of these teams are in the field of 12, which really would leave one spot for 5 remaining teams. The one-loss Indiana Hoosiers, who only loss came to Ohio State Buckeyes, who I feel is in even after the heartbreaking loss to Michigan in the big game. The 3-loss South Carolina Gamecocks, who came off a thrilling come-from-behind victory over the rival Clemson Tigers, who we have in the field of 12 right now, remember, because in this scenario, we're saying that they defeated SMU in the ACC Championship game, which locked them into the field of 12 with the conference championship win. So now, do we leave out the team that just defeated them head-to-head and also has 3 losses on the season? But one of South Carolina's losses is to another team fighting for their final spot in the 12-team playoff, the Alabama Crimson Tide, who suffered a heartbreaking defeat a couple weeks ago to Oklahoma, which in essence eliminated the Tide from playoff contention, which we thought at the time it did, but little did we know that another team that's fighting for position, the University of Miami, would go on to lose to Syracuse this past weekend, which opened up the floodgates to all of Alabama Nation and every Bama fan in the world screaming that they deserve to be in the 12-team playoff after beating their rival Auburn in the Iron Bowl this past weekend. The last and final team we have kind of screaming from the outside in that they should be in the 12-team playoff is another 3-loss SEC team, Ole Miss. Ole Miss watched his chances slip through his fingers as they failed to perform up to task against the Florida Gators in the Swamp a couple weeks ago, as the Rebels fell short 24-17, and now leaves them hoping for chaos on Championship Saturday, which somehow results into them being included in the field of 12. So yeah, 3-loss Clemson winning the ACC Conference Championship on Saturday against SMU could introduce pure chaos into the field that is supposed to be less chaotic since expanding the playoff picture into 12 teams in its first year. This could actually turn out to be insane. So we'll keep a close eye on how the committee ranks these teams tomorrow night when they have a second installment of 3 rankings before the final 12-field playoff team is set on Sunday, December 8th at noon. So until next time, guys, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more sports updates and content.